Peter Parker has had it rough the past few months, moving away with his wife only to be brought back to New York. But with the return of his greatest foe, Norman Osborn, things have gotten even crazier. With the loss of his brother and daughter, Peter Parker and his wife Mary Jane must cope with their losses. Between their return to college, Norman Osborn, the Stacy family, new gangs, ninjas, and the Trapster, will they rise above it all or crack under the weight? Welcome to the Forgotten Era, where we'll answer all those questions and more. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Forgotten Era podcast. Guess what? It hasn't been 3 months. We're actually doing an episode right now. And it's only been like a month, if that. Maybe 3 weeks. I can't remember. So anyway, glad to be back. Glad we're kind of like getting back into the normal groove of things. And today, we've got 4 books, and I've got 2 people joining me. First of all... Oh man, I actually heard that. That was impressive. So we're joined back by Matthew. It's been a while.
Yep,
He's alive.
I went through trials and tribulations, and now I'm no longer a Padawan, but a Jedi Knight.
Yes, it just so happened to line up, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And as you've heard, we're also joined by Zach.
Hey, I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easily.
I know that guy.
No.
All right, bye, guys.
Great to have you both here. It's nice because I wasn't expecting it, and I'm glad it actually happened. Because people don't know the behind the scenes of this show, but it really is like hell sometimes to try to set something up with more than myself. So
you mean setting something up with me? Because
it's not just you, but it is hard sometimes for sure.
Life just like, man, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, "How do you function? Like, how do you not like just lay down and cry?" It's like I try, man.
Yeah, I know you do, but I'm just glad that we're all here. So, this week, we're covering 4 books, like I said, and we've got a Spectacular, we've got a Peter Parker, and we've got 2 Sensationals. I call this, like, the filler episode, I guess, because 2 of these are pretty fillery books, and the 2 issues of Sensational, I guess, are technically also... they're literally filler because it's not, main creative team. But at least it's a 2-issue story versus just like a one-shot. I originally wanted it to be just one-shot issues, but then I realized that wasn't really going to happen because we have Doc Ock returning and the Sensational story. So Sensational story kind of is the one that gets to be grouped up with this episode. Because the Doc Ock one kind of matters, even though we all have opinions on it. It doesn't matter. So yeah, today's books are going to be Spectacular Spider-Man number 246, Peter Parker Spider-Man number 81, and Sensational Spider-Man 19 and 20. Do you all have anything that you want to say before we just kind of get straight into it?
Well, I know you said that these are filler books, but I will say right off the bat before we even go into it, at least 246 is filler. It's like eating a Twinkie. It's bad for you, but I love it, man. It's got that good filler. Yeah,
just because they're filler doesn't mean they're bad.
Yeah. The 246 for the cover alone is worth a pickup.
Yeah. Well, so obviously, I wasn't alive when this came out, but I can imagine being a child and seeing this book on the shelf and just being so confused on what the fuck is happening. Simply because who are these characters? Like, people think the only one that people would really know is the Spot, since he was in the 90s show. But that would probably be it. Like, general audience, at least.
Mm-hmm. The rest, most people would just know the other characters like Kangaroo and Gibbon just by off like walk into a comic book shop and somebody being like, "Hey, you ever heard of the Gibbon from, the early hundreds of Amazing Spider-Man?" Like, that's the closest you'll get to hearing that character's name.
I can imagine being a child who likes the '90s show. Which, hey, talking about the '90s show, that's coming back as a comic. People, that's great. But like, I always find it really funny how big the Spot is in that show, and how like formidable he is, and how much he matters. And then you pick up this book, and he's just getting clowned the entire time.
Well,
I think that would be really funny.
That's because John Semper Jr. Woke up one day and said, "You know what? The Spot's the greatest character that's ever existed, and you know what? I'm Jesus Christ. I created Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. All hail me. By the way, give me your tax money." So
It is crazy that he invented Spider-Man.
yeah, it is crazy that he did that. I was there when he did that, man. It was a rough time. He told me to leave, but I was like, man, that's pretty cool that you're Steve Ditko and Stan Lee.
I know that it was 30 years prior, but you did a really good job making this character, man. You like made him who he was. Who needs the others? But it's all fun and games. But yeah, I'm excited for that Spider-Man '94 book, even though I don't understand why it's called '94.
I didn't even think about that.
But it's got Kane in it, so who gives a fuck why it's called what it is? It's got Kane in it.
Yeah, that really is all that matters. I have to
And
rewatch the
Moreland.
show.
It's got Moreland in it. That's so weird.
It is very strange. But then
Like,
5
it's
minutes
cool.
later, John Semper Jr. was like, "I am so mad."
Did you see that? Did you see that JMD like apologized?
Yeah, and I saw a couple.
No, what he did was he gave a classy response to a person that was being not very classy.
Yeah, like I know it wasn't like an actual like I'm sorry, but you know, it's just weird. Like I don't understand why it matters so much. If
I can't wait till Semper starts claiming that he created Moreland. He's gonna be like, I was in the waiting room with JMS, and I said it'd be cool if some dude ate spider people, and JMS was like, I'll write that after I'm done with Babylon 5. I can't do either impressions of either one of them.
John Semper Jr. created Hydro Man.
We better get into it because we're gonna go on this for a while.
Yeah, no, like I was about to say, we could go with like an hour about the things that John Semper actually did versus the things that John Semper says he actually did and didn't do. For the record.
Uh-huh.
Oh man,
this is staying in, by the way.
Oh yeah, this is absolutely staying in. I don't care. I know he'll never see it, and if he does, it doesn't matter.
You'd be surprised. That Spidey page on Facebook, he found that and messaged me. He either messaged me or wrote on the wall. I'll have to find it. But he was talking about like his time on the book and everything. So you'd be surprised what he discovers.
That would be really funny if he messages me and says, "Why are you talking shit?" But anyway, okay. So starting on books, Spectacular Spider-Man is going to be where we go first. We've got Spectacular Spider-Man number 246, The Legion of Losers. This book was released on March 26th of 1997, written by J.M. DeMatteis, with pencils by Luke Ross, inks by Al Milgram, and colors by John Callis. First of all, like you mentioned, this cover is incredible. I will say it doesn't. I know Luke Ross drew it, just doesn't look like him for some reason.
No, I think what he was trying to do was go for a more Ditko-esque look with the way the eyes look and everything.
Yeah, because
he would experiment. He experiments with that thinner eye look. Quite.
Yeah, it's just if you look at the cover and then look at the first page, it's like a completely different looking Spider-Man. But I'm not opposed to it. I do like how it looks a lot. It's a great cover. It's just like I said, I can imagine staring at this book on the newsstand and just questioning why there's a man in his underwear attacking Spider-Man with a furry hat on.
It's the greatest character of all time, man.
Yeah, the greatest character of all time, the second kangaroo. Because can't ever have just one.
No. The first kangaroo died.
Yeah, exactly.
He what?
He passed away.
Oh, shit.
How,
Next you're
how,
going to tell me the human fly died too.
how
Yep.
am I going to live with myself?
Damn right.
Mickey,
But,
get the funeral plans going.
I also love how beefed up the Spot is. Like, he's super buff.
He's
He looks
yoked,
like a
man.
he looks like a John Romita senior, like,
He
bad guy
does.
right there. That looks very JR Senior to me. Just the pose and everything.
So before we go into this, real quick, since we're talking about Spot, do you prefer him with the white eyes or do you prefer him with actual human eyes?
Um, I don't know. I think the white eyes looks cooler. I like when
Okay.
he has no eyes.
I prefer the white eyes, but like there's some shots in this book where he has human eyes and it's freaky.
As long as it's not the John Semper Jr. eyes.
Oh yeah.
Where he's got like the fucking like domino mask.
Yeah, that design's weird.
Oh
Weird,
man.
boys. It's very weird.
We're definitely getting fucked on this one.
No, that's
Maybe literally, I don't know.
uh-huh.
Alrighty, so the Legion of Losers. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. We open up on an absolutely beautiful splash page of Spidey swinging through the night sky. Spidey thinks to himself how much he loves the towering skyscrapers and the Manhattan skyline, but he's stuck swinging around upstate New York. As he swings above the streets, the people below have a fun comedy bit calling him all the wrong names, including the Human Fly and Ant-Man. Pete is out searching for Dimitri, who has disappeared entirely since their last encounter. He decides to run by Ravencroft to see if Kafka's had any luck in her search, and has a little laugh about MJ defeating the chameleon on the way there. At Ravencroft, Senator Roberg is in the process of firing Ashley and John Jameson. They've proven that they cannot keep patients in and intruders out. Spidey shows up to crack a few jokes, then asks for an update on Ashley's search. Sadly, she's also had no luck. Elsewhere in Manhattan, the team of the Gibbon, the Spot, the Grizzly, and the Kangaroo, God, that's a lot of those, is teleporting into Midtown Bank's vault. Gibbon and Grizzly don't understand the point of robbing a bank when all they want is revenge on Spider-Man, but Spot and Kangaroo just can't help but focus on the money. Grizzly quits the team, and Gibbon goes with. They decide to just walk right out of the vault, activating the alarm system. Kangaroo and Spot make their escape, as Gibbon and Grizzly are quickly surrounded by cops. Over at the Bugle, JJ is having yet another late night, grinding out an editorial piece while arguing with Marla on the phone. He decides to give it a rest for the night and heads to the elevator, where he's met by none other than the Jack-o'-lantern. JJ tries to escape, but Jack pulls him into the elevator. Back in the streets, Pete is feeling lousy about Kafka's situation. She's the only person who legitimately cares for her patients, and not having her at Ravencroft could turn out to be a huge mess. Just then, Peter hears gunshots and decides to check them out. Gibbon and Grizzly are comically running away from cops and head into a little subway area. Pete follows them down there and wants to take it easy on the pair. He just wants the money back. But the two villains, in quotes, fight back instead, as Grizzly gets his hand stuck in the wall he punches. As the battle, also in quotes, continues, Spot and Kangaroo arrived, bragging that they are the ones who stole the money. Spidey scoffs at the Legion of Losers in front of him, when somehow Gibbon catches him off guard. Spidey is knocked out by the crew, and they help Grizzly get his arm unstuck. Cutting to the apartment of Flash Thompson, Betty wants to try to be there for Flash. Despite his recent behavior, she still wants to be his friend. Flash comes to the door, drunk out of his mind, raving about how he thought Betty was too good for a nobody slob like him. She helps him to a chair in the room and tells him that he smells like a brewery. That phrase triggers Flash, since that's what his mom used to say about his dad. He laughs about how his dad used to abuse his mom for it, which makes Betty head for the door. Flash begs for her to stay. He didn't think it was funny. He hated his dad for it, and hates that he's become a drunk loser just like him. Betty embraces him and tells him that he can change. He just has to want the help. Back with the losers, Spidey is strung up in their kitchen while they decide what to do with him. Grizzly is having second thoughts and proposes they just return the money like Spidey said. Kangaroo doesn't like that idea much, and a fight breaks out amongst the losers. Spot and Kangaroo are beaten by Grizzly and Gibbon, who realize Spidey isn't where they left him. Spidey pops out on the ceiling and says that he was never unconscious. He was just faking it to see what the masterminds, definitely in quotes, were up to. He's letting Gibbon and Grizzly off the hook since they wanted to do the right thing and return the money. He just tells them to stay out of trouble. They take his advice to heart and propose that they could become superheroes. In the morning, at the Bugle, JJ is found bloody and beaten in the elevator, bringing this issue to a close. So, that's Spectacular Spider-Man. What's everybody's thoughts?
I'll let Zach go first since he's the guest.
Yeah, this is a fun issue. I mean, this is Jamie DeMatteis gets so much credit for his ultra serious story arcs and his nothing will ever be the same story arcs. But it's these type of issues that I think help endear him as a creative across the board, because it is goofy as hell. Obviously, him and Maguire working on Justice League in the 80s showed his comedy chops. But on Spider-Man, it's issues like this that literally show off that he can absolutely just write a bonkers ass comedy issue. And so, yeah, I think it's a really good issue. In terms of it's a one and done, but it's still advancing the storylines. We have Kraven making his mysterious first appearance. Kraven the Hunter is still alive. And then you've got, Jonah and Jack-o'-lantern and getting his ass beat. Gibbon and Grizzly are hilarious. And considering, like, for me, how much I did not care about these characters, especially Gibbon, and then like reading this and then going back and reading the one shot that Nick Spencer did clearly shows that he has just an absolute man crush on JMD Mateus. Because like Gibbon and Grizzly should not be a team by any stretch of imagination. But yet here we are. This is the origins of them trying to be superheroes. And it's just really absurd and funny, and done as a way to counterbalance the ultra seriousness of the situation with Flash. I mean, Flash is like his entire life's falling apart, and now that he's drunk, he's managed to seduce Betty. I mean, look at those bedroom eyes when Betty was like, "You gotta try there, Flash. Maybe this time I won't blow up your apartment." I mean, I'm sorry. I was adding thought bubbles into her brain, but it is kangaroo. The new kangaroo is dumb. I mean, the underpants. The man couldn't afford at least some basketball shorts. Right?
No, he spent all of his money on the battle suit. He took every little inch for the suit to explode in 2 seconds, and now he has nothing. He couldn't even steal a pair of pants. He just had to steal the money to buy more shit.
The whole book, he doesn't do a single thing. He's just like, I wonder what I'll buy. And
Yeah,
that's what's great.
We should buy fucking Shrinking Ray. We should buy like this. We should buy that. You should buy fucking pants,
you should buy
bro.
some pants.
Buy some fucking pants, bro. No one wants to see that.
But who needs pants when you're an interior decorator at heart?
And it's if he wants to be a true kangaroo, kangaroos don't wear pants.
That's true, man. That's true. You got to think about that. The pouch is in the shorts.
Oh no. Oh dear.
If women can have one, men can have one to put their secret.
That's not how that works. That's you.
I do love what you were saying about the counterbalance. Matt and I were talking about it a little before you got into like the little recording booth thing here. But I do like how this is such like a contrasting issue where you're like, oh my god, the horrible sufferings of a drunk man, and then, by the way, here's some shit. Here's just some shit. And I like how you were talking about how JMD's work on Justice League was very much like a precursor to doing stories like this. And I love that back in that book too, there were moments of like, this is absurd, but here are also very serious, very solemn, very personal character moments. And that's really like the claim, the true claim to fame of a good writer is being able to do both in balance.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
the funny here doesn't outweigh the serious. Yes, it takes up more page retail space, but in terms of impact, this is a vital part of Flash's story no matter what. And even though it's in between this silly little story about villains, D-list, F-list villains, it still matters. And the same thing with JJ too, because we keep seeing this constant thing with JJ, these issues of the Jack-o'-lantern stalking him. Why is the Jack-o'-lantern stalking him? We don't know. But he's going after him, he's after John, he's after everybody in the Jameson family. And now it's finally coming to a head for these next 2 issues.
It's kind of an inverse of the whole, when you watch a horror movie or anything dark, really, you'll get a lot of situations where they'll tell you gotta put levity in it to make sure it's not super dark. That's why in a lot of comedy movies you'll have the sassy character who dies in a funny way or something like that. This is kind of the reverse of that, where most of this book is, the Spot, getting pulled out of holes, and Kangaroo with no pants, and the Gibbon, and Grizzly being all goofy, being worried about his house and everything because the landlady's going to hear him. And then you got those darker moments with, hey, Jonah's apparently dead now, or whatever, and the darkness with the alcoholism and everything. But it doesn't take you out of the goofiness of the story in a good way. I think this is a perfect example of having goofy, fun moments while, carrying on the overall side plot and everything. So, personally, this is, in my opinion, this is the best book of the night. So,
I may be inclined to agree. We didn't do it last episode with Zach, but I don't count it because it was a one-off episode. But let's get some numbers on these. What's everybody's rating out of 10?
Yeah, my bad. I forgot to give you my ratings last time. I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's look, it's a comedy book, so obviously it's not going to be like Citizen Kane. But at the same time, I think that it was a really good balance. I mean, the Legion of Losers are like one of my favorite goofy team ups. So I have a lot of like affection for this particular issue because around that time, the Spot became the greatest comic book character of all time via John Semper, and so seeing
thank you, Lord.
Yeah, like I mean, time dilation portals became the greatest plot device of all time. I mean, I can't, knock
them wearing that fucking projector around their neck.
No, it's on their chest, sir.
It's on their chest.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Don't you understand? There's only one true goblin, the Green Goblin.
Oh, my God.
Bro, I'm going to go downstairs and my girlfriend's going to be a water clone.
If she loved you the way the real...
I'm going to have a
the real Nikki loved you.
I'm going to have a
She loved you with all her heart.
I'm going to have a water main break in my house, and I'm just going to yell, no!
Hang on. Hey. If you want the clip, my friend.
Do it. Bring it on. Let's do it.
I have the clip.
Mary Jane!
You see, okay, so I like that clip better than the shocker.
That was, yeah, the shocker was
can't
funny.
escape me.
I'll chase you to the ends of the earth.
Guys,
Surprise!
This is the kind of masterful dialogue we got from John Semper.
That recap in the part 3 of the alien, or part 3 or part 4 of the Alien Saga, where he's like, surprise, that lives rent free in my head because I watched that Venom episode so many times.
Oh, God. Oh, wait, so how about ratings?
Yeah, what's your rating there, buddy? You didn't give a rating.
Who, me? Well, you see, this is a 9 for me. I absolutely love bad villains. When they did that Marvel Legends box set with freaking Molten Man and all that stuff, I want more of that, Hasbro. I
Another
want you to
year
give me,
retooling figures.
dude, man. I don't care, man. Give me that shit. Give me all that shit. I'll buy
Yeah,
it for
I did really
50%.
want the Silvermane, but I just never bought that set.
Give me a kangaroo with his underwear on, and I will be
Oh man,
yours.
Legion of Losers wave.
Dude, give me a grizzly, but give me this grizzly and not the grizzly where I want to cry from the Spencer run. So, give me this. But I give this a 9. Absolutely love it. I wish there were more books like this coming out today. Honestly, really loved it. So it's your turn now, buddy.
Honestly, I give this one a 2. It wasn't written by John Semper Jr., so
That's true.
because of that, I don't really think it's real Spider-Man. But no, I'm on the same boat. I'm teetering on the 8.5 to 9. I'm very much in that range. I don't know if I could say one or the other. If I had to pick, I'll give it a 9 just because I'm always super impressed by the balancing of comedy versus serious. Whenever anybody can do that and they pull it off well, and I don't have any issues with pacing, it just has to automatically get a higher rating. So I'll say 9 on this one. Personally, I'm a huge fan, just like you guys are. Really fun book, really serious book. But let's get to something better because it's written by Howard Mackey.
Oh, what in
Yeah.
nation are you talking about, son?
You
My
had to step off
reputation
on
as
this
the number
man.
one Howard Mackey fan.
Listen here now. I tell you what. I like Howard Mackey, but he ain't the greatest writer.
Nah, that's fine. You can think that. Honestly,
I'm
Howard
gonna
Mackey
prove
is
it
my
to you
John
via
Semper.
Listen. This era of Mackey is my favorite era of Mackey. Don't
Oh,
mistake
yeah.
me, man. It is the greatest era of all the Mackey eras, which he would hate if he heard that particular impression. So I apologize, Howard Mackey. But no, like this is so Mackey can be kind of put into different phases, right? He was on Web, and then he jumped from Web to Adjectiveless, which became Peter Parker. Then he became the sole writer of Spider-Man and was completely burnt out. And a lot of people give him
Ghost written by John Byrne.
Yeah, with a lot of assists by John Byrne.
I wonder who did the making out scene.
We all know making out. If you pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. But no, yeah. So although I get a little sad when I see this opening splash page because it has the Twin Towers in it. It's a beautiful splash page by Romita Jr.
Dude, everything in Peter Parker is beautiful. There's not a single ugly panel in this fucking series.
I mean, Peter Parker's my favorite book in this era. Going off of what we're talking about, Howard Mackey. I mean, Howard Mackey gets his bad rap because of the reboot, 100%. Pre-reboot, I love his stuff.
We just need to start hanging out with Ghost Rider fans. They all love Howard Mackey. At least 90s Ghost Rider fans.
Ghost Rider is one of my blind spots.
I don't know shit about Ghost Rider except
Ghost
the
Rider
piston
and
fire
X-Men.
in the second movie.
My girlfriend loves Ghost Rider, so maybe I'll talk to her about Howard Mackey.
They just say, "Hey, Danny, you like Danny Ketch? Okay, let's talk about Howard Mackey." I think it's really funny.
Run, doesn't he?
What?
Doesn't he hate that run? His run of Ghost Rider, personally?
Not that I'm aware
No,
of.
no,
He put his heart and soul into that. That's like his book. Because he
Yeah.
made Danny Ketch from his hometown. He based it in his hometown. And then he came back and he wrote that Danny Ketch series because they did a Danny Ketch one like they did Ben Reilly. And he wrote that for Marvel a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, I could have sworn I heard in an interview where he was like, people came up to him and they were like, "Oh, I love, I hated the die." Or maybe I'm thinking of the fans. I remember him talking about people hated a Ghost Rider book of his, and him being or something. It don't matter.
I'll just say this and then I'll get into the actual book. But I do think it's funny that one of my least favorite comics I've ever read in my life is written in collaboration of Howard Mackey and Terry Cavanaugh, two of my favorite people. I just think that one of my least favorite comics I've ever read in my life is a book that they both wrote together. So it'd be like that sometimes. Not everyone writes gold. That book, by the way, is Gambit Volume 2. That shit was ass. It's also drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz, so it looks like shit, and it is shit.
You've talked about that book before.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it to you. It's like the ugliest thing I've ever read. It also makes no sense. Why is he fighting demons at the Vatican? Anyway,
what?
Peter Parker, Spider-Man, number 81, Shadow of the Cat, was released on April 16th of 1997, with Howard Mackey as writer, pencils by John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna on inks, and Greg Wright on colors. Just like the last issue I covered, we opened on a beautiful splash page shot of Spidey swinging, this time high above the skyscrapers of NYC. Spidey thinks to himself that it sometimes would be nice if there were two of him, but doesn't want to go there again. Apparently someone has been tearing their way through the New York underbelly, and Spidey's trying to put a stop to the culprit. He just wants to do so, with time to sleep and maintain his grades. He questions why he thought going back to college was a good idea. He's got the pressures of his marriage and superheroing to worry about. As Pete arrives at his destination, he finds that he's too late. Apparently, it's the 5th hit of the night, and Spidey is no closer to finding who's behind it. Inside the destroyed bar, the gangsters are actually relieved to see it's just Spidey. They swear they have nothing to do with the kid, and that the guy who hit them was superhuman. Peter's wonder what Betty has gotten him into, as we cut back to earlier in the evening. At the Forest Hills home of Peter and Mary Jane Parker, the two finally have some time, much needed time alone together. But just as things seem to be at peace, the phone rings. Peter lets it go, till he hears it's Betty with some work for him. Pete and MJ could really use the money. Apparently there's been a kidnapping at a Park Avenue building, and the parents have the big bucks. Peter is hesitant, but with Betty literally at his doorstep, he agrees to go.
Yeah, what a dick move, by the way, by Betty. Like, Betty's like, I'm gonna be like Jigsaw Jameson from the '90s show because we're gonna bring it back, and like MJ's trying to have a nice, quiet evening with Peter, and she's like, "Get your ass outside!"
Like, I'm literally outside your door right now.
Yeah,
she literally does the "shut up, get in the car."
Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, what? Come on, Betty. Like, it's this type of shit. Why our good buddy Joshua Lambertoni thinks you're a horrible person. It's this type of shit. Between this and blowing up people's apartments, like contrast.
She had a reason, Zach.
Okay.
Just go back to Latveria, bro, or wherever she was going on assignment for a little bit. Get out of town. I don't mind Betty Brant. I actually kind of like her, but when she's doing shit like this, be a little less headstrong about your career.
Like this is.
Yeah, don't be a working woman.
That's not what I'm saying. Whoa.
What a friend we have, Jesus. No, like the problem. Okay, here's the thing. There's very inconsistent storytelling with Betty between this issue and the previous issue we just talked about. Like the previous issue, Betty is very soft-hearted and very tender, and then in this issue, she's just like, I gotta be Billy Badass, and you know, like strutting her stuff and peacocking and shit. And it's like, Betty, did you forget to take your meds again? Because God knows you're bipolar as fuck.
The truth is the medicine, Zach.
The truth is her medicine.
You gotta look through the clues, man. That child is somewhere.
Let me tell you something. If you're gonna do an Alex Jones impression, you might as well do it right. The truth is, we are fighting a war for your mind.
The end of the book, she's just like, shit, Peter, I'm sorry. It's a Shang-Chi character nobody gave a fuck about. I'm sorry.
Right? Like, I never heard of the cat.
He shows up once in a while in Shang-Chi. That's who they're referencing him losing to.
Well, he looks like Shang-Chi if Shang-Chi got a tattoo of a cat on his chest.
He looks like Iron, like Ultimate Iron Fist.
He does, but less scary because he has a giant cat painted on his chest. And
he does have a giant pussy on his chest.
That is true. Did you finish your recap?
No. I derailed his recap with my aside.
No, this isn't derailment. This is engagement.
Okay. Exactly. I'll keep going.
All right.
Back in the present, Pete is checking out another hit. Thankfully, this group is in better shape than the last, but they don't seem very talkative as they start shooting at Spidey, and we get one of the coolest pages of all time. Pete has no choice but to put them all down, not kill, as he sees a cat insignia indented in on the broken door. The cat is Pete's mark, but just who is he? Cutting back to the past, Pete and Betty enter the building where the kidnapping took place. They meet the mother of the kidnapped child, who tells Pete and Betty that her husband, Shen Kuei, is a martial arts master known as Cat. He has been looking into the underbelly recently, which caused her and her son to leave him. He won't stop until the kidnapper is dead. Blood will stain the streets. Peter's paternal and heroic instincts kick in as he leaves the scene to suit up. He must save the kid and stop the cat from bloodying the streets. In the present, the cat makes another move, mercilessly beating a group of thugs demanding to know where the kidnapped boy is. He gets information that someone has the kid by the piers and makes his way there. Cat announces his arrival as Spidey arrives at the scene. The two have a little scuffle, but are interrupted by an energy blast from a villain calling himself Shockwave, no Transformers affiliation. Shockwave is working with Razor Fist, what the fuck, who is holding Cat's son.
Razor Fist!
Razor Fist's employer wants Cat out of the picture, and Cat agrees to exchange his life for his son's. Peter can't let that go down and promises there is another way. Peter will never allow the villains to take Cat's child away. He knows that pain. He lives with it every day. Executing their plan, Peter pretends to leave the scene as Razor Fist begins battling Cat. Shockwave begins gloating and monologuing about the child becoming an orphan, when Spidey gives him a good old socking to the face. Spidey tells Shockwave to stay out of town, and he means it. Now that his son is safe, Cat stops holding back and quickly dispenses of Razor Fist, destroying both of his robotic hands. Now he can't even jerk off.
No! Okay.
Peter says he may have just helped someone he'll have to face someday, but it doesn't matter. The child is safe, and he's prevented someone else from feeling the pain that he and MJ do every day. Which, thank you, Howard Mackey, for that moment.
Yeah.
Back home, Peter walks in on Betty and MJ hanging out. Pete gives MJ a massive hug, and MJ questions why. Peter simply answers by saying it's for all they have and for all they've lost. He apologizes for not doing more, as the final panel focuses on a black cat and the issue ends. So,
love the ending.
Peter Parker 81, and oh my god, the ending of this issue is like one of my favorite things ever. I don't know. I've talked about it before, but anytime the baby is mentioned, the Clone Saga is mentioned in a meaningful and loving and caring and character building way, it's just so perfect. Seeing the characters of Mary Jane and Peter express the grief that they have in a time when I'm sure Marvel wanted nothing more than to just throw all that shit in the garbage and completely forget about it, but the writers just refuse to, is so nice. It
also was part of the master plan of Bob Harris, which was let's cock tease the return of the baby.
Exactly.
And never ever address it ever again.
Right. We're getting there.
It's not quite this is extremely subtle. Later on it gets just demonstrably worse.
Yeah.
And then,
later on it's just a waste of fucking time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of the biggest letdowns ever. But for now, living in the present, which is the past, the ending of this book is incredible. And the art of this book is incredible, but overall, it's just another filler issue.
Well, let me ask you this: since you're talking about the mentioning the Clone Saga in a meaningful way, how do you interpret the beginning of the book when he's talking about sometimes?
The beginning of the book is classic, like classic this era, classic just like, oh no, not clones again, because they've done it in like 6 or 7 issues leading up to this point. I just think it's that whole offhand remark sort of thing where they find any opportunity to kind of like shoehorn it in and make a joke, but it's not like malicious.
I think you can kind of interpret it as him slowly going into thinking about Ben and then being like, oh, I don't want to think about him right now because I gotta stay focused. So I think you can kind of
It's okay. He'll think about Ben plenty in Sensational. That's all he ever does in that book is think about Ben. Thanks, Todd.
Thinks about Ben more than you think about Ben.
I don't know about that. Not in the same way as that's for sure.
So, I mean, you brought up the one of the best pages, the page where the spider light is coming down, where it looks like Spider-Man's firing a Kamehameha through his crotch. One of the best John Romita, one of the best John Romita Jr. pages of all time. There's something that John Romita does all the time, where especially when he's fighting the cat and they're struggling, and he does that contrast in colors. Nobody does contrast like this team, where it's like you see them struggling in the fight, and it's like the tan up against the black to make it look like there's a struggle and everything. That's the kind of stuff that I like that John Romita Jr. does a lot. But I love this book absolutely. The only problem I have with it is I don't care about the cat. In fact, when I pulled this book out, I for a second there I thought it was a Black Cat book, honestly, because I'm reading the floppies on this one. I had completely forgotten about this book, and like we said, you get a character that nobody cares about, and then you get the whole what is it the kind of flashback in between the start of the story where like Betty's setting up the whole plot and everything to Peter, like
Pulp Fiction style.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of that. I kind of just prefer being linear, especially when like it's done so little that it doesn't. If you just did it linearly, it doesn't really change anything. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like one negative I'll give the book, but like it's not a big negative. So
yeah, the let's go back only works so much. Like sometimes it can really work, other times it's just exhausting.
So, yeah.
Here I found it kind of exhausting.
See, if I gave this book to my friend Ashley, her ADHD would be just riddled. She'd be like, "I'm so confused."
Buddy, I got ADHD. I'm all over the place on this.
I will say really quick, when I was writing the recap of this, there was a point where they do like the initial going back to them investigating the apartment, and then they cut back to the present, and then they go back to the past. I could not write it that way because I was just so fucking confuzzled at that point. I was like, nah, I'm just going to write the past part in the past paragraph and write the current part in the current paragraph, because if I don't, this is just going to be such a waste of time. I don't want to say, and then we go back, and then we go back, and then we go forward, and then we go back. So anyway, go ahead, Zach.
You know, I mean, we talked about this a lot on the spectacular Spidey Dude experience, especially with the Spectacular Spider-Man, because that particular plot device was used quite a bit by Mr. Greg Weisman. So reading this here, I hadn't read this issue in, probably a decade. Okay, to be completely honest with you. I'm not quite to this point in my read-through. And
well, spoilers.
Yeah, oops. Because I've now I have read damn near every issue that has been published of Spider-Man, except for miniseries and annuals. And so, rereading this book, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this." And I couldn't like. I remember kind of liking the cat, thinking he was kind of cool when I was a kid, because I didn't effing know any better. I thought this was going to lead to something bigger, and it just never does.
No, like so much of the stuff that happens in this book, admittedly, it just goes nowhere.
Like this issue suffers from the syndrome. There's two syndromes that Howard Mackie is really well known for. One is, shit, I'm running out of pages, and I got to wrap this story up really, really fucking quickly. And we talked about that pretty extensively on CSC. But the other thing is like he'll set up he'll do a one shot where you think it's going to set up something, and like there's going to have some more payoff down the road, and it just was like, nope, just the cat shows up for reasons. Is going to stay in America for reasons.
And then there's Shockwave. Yeah. And then there's Razor Fist. Who are these people? Who fucking cares?
Razor Fist, I think, is an Iron Man character, isn't he?
Yes. He's
Does it look like I know? Was it in the
Yeah.
Clone Saga? I don't think so.
No. This is their first time that these were my first appearances of these characters for me, having never known anything about them. And I thought Razor Fist was kind of cool because he's got blades for hands.
Should have just brought back Cyborg Macindale for something. I don't know. He's a character that kind of
actually he was about to die at this point, or he
that's true. That's true.
Like he was about to become worm food because they were right. Either they had already published Hobgoblin lists, or they were about to publish Hobgoblin lists.
Yeah, not quite yet. That's a little bit further, I'm sure. I think.
Yeah.
But want to put a number on it?
To me, this is a 6.9.
Yeah, I'm there too. I'm like a 6, like a 6 and a 7. So
I'll go 7 because I can't give anything with 90s Ramita Jr. or anything below a 7.
That's fair.
It's like 90s Bagley for Donovan.
Yeah, I mean,
even those dog shit Cyber War issue, like the two
Scarlet Spider. Yeah,
he's like, I'm gonna give it a B- because of Bagley. I'm like, whoa, are you fucking high?
I give it a A+ because of joystick.
I'd like her to play with my joystick.
I do.
Oh, okay.
That the Delilah books.
Delilah. Every time I think of Delilah. I think of the poor radio host who's just a middle-aged woman who adopted like 15 kids. Okay,
I haven't thought about that in years. That little jingle. Oh my god.
Delilah. She's still going.
Is she really?
Yes. If you listen to like any soft rock station or any like mix station, she's there to do.
My grandmother used to listen to her all the time.
My sister listened to that woman every night before she went to bed. She would start at 7:00 and she would go till midnight, and that's what she was listening to. And she would go to sleep.
But so just going back to my grade real quick, because there was something else I was going to bring up about the book, because I know you guys were talking about like setting up and everything. This book doesn't necessarily that whole feeling like it's setting up something doesn't really bother me too much in this issue, because like I kind of get it that it's supposed to be, given parallels to Peter and MJ with them dealing with the loss of the baby May and everything. So it doesn't really bother me too much. And plus, stuff like this, if you're a superhero, you're going to run into one-shot characters every now and then. Random stuff's going to happen. So it doesn't bother me too much. But I will say that like it is a problem that he has throughout his entire career. That, and also, I will just side note, what is Peter doing on that one page where he's laying in bed? Is he drinking that entire bottle of aspirin?
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't know you could get liquid aspirin.
His spider metabolism needs the whole thing.
There is one other.
That's a good point. That's a good no prize.
There is one thing about this book that I think is a fair criticism too. It is completely a recycled plot from one of his previous Peter Parker Spider-Man issues. It is almost the exact same plot as the Return of Spider-Man month with Poison.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly that book.
It is just that
kidnapped child. Bad guy wants the person's mom/dad. Yeah, it is very
possible mob ties in this.
Yeah,
whole situation.
Why are you in town? This one's a little less. This one's a little less like the great game. But like,
yeah, it literally is a recycled plot from, is it issue 67?
No.
Yeah, it's no.
You guys are so foolish. It's number 64.
Oh, excuse me, 64.
It's not that far off.
Do you know anything about the Clone Saga?
Sir, are you questioning my Clone Saga memory recall, sir? Oh man, there's still the last Spider Jeopardy that I was ever on Crawl Space, because George decided to throw me a bone instead of giving the right answer. He just like yeah. So Zach, what's the answer? And then I started showing my work, and then he kind of got irritated because I was showing my work. But like I remember McNulty went, "Shit." Like, he was trying to steal it. Like he was trying to. People started selecting that category to steal the questions away from me. But like, yeah. So then everybody else was answering it. I was like, yeah.
Was that the year that they had the clone category?
Yeah, it was called Flower Power because
yeah.
Flower
Oh yeah, that's stupid joke.
That joke that was it was beaten into dust. Is what it was. What occurred. And to this day, if I am in the comments section and the Clone Saga comes up, somebody will make a flower joke, without question.
It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not funny, and it's very. Anybody who finds it funny, more power to you. Comedy is suggestive, but it's a joke that's been around for 10 years, and it's not funny. It's
a joke that was designed to come at somebody else's expense. And you can only do that joke so often before that joke starts to be worn out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because the audience is always growing, right? More people discovering the show, they find the joke, they start making the joke. And so it just never
dies. It's like Oscorn.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, the commercial for Oscorn was funnier than the actual bit with Oscorn inside the issue.
You don't experience that joke, do you, Ethan? Like that doesn't show up in your section of the fandom, right?
No.
No. I see it often, but I think it's because I'm around that section of the fandom often. It's been annoying for years. So, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess we're all in the 6.9 to 7 range. I'd probably say 7 just because the ending.
Yeah.
And the
it is an exceptional ending.
Yeah.
And does a good job. So.
It's just a nice, heartful way to wrap it up. And next,
which is what Peter didn't do whenever he.
Yeah, exactly.
God,
that's so dirty. You broke up on my end.
I said exactly what Peter didn't do when he created the child.
Oh.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
And now I get to stop talking for a little bit as we cover Sensational Spider-Man. I don't know if either of you guys wrote down dates, but I'll read them if you didn't.
I did. I never do.
Okay, I'll just do it really quick because I already have it up. So next up is going to be Sensational Spider-Man number 19. This is The Return, written by Richard Case and Todd DeZago, who did script. Pencils by Richard Case, inks by Richard Case, colors by Gregory Wright, and it was released on July 2nd, 1997. And then I'll do the next one when you guys get to 20.
Yay.
Oh man, that tea went down my throat wrong. Holy shit. I was trying to get a drink real fast before you finished. Oh, okay.
Poor man's trying to wet his whistle, and he wetted his whistle a little too well.
Man, it's bad enough I got knocked out.
I wet myself often.
So when I drink something, sometimes shit goes down my throat a little too fast. So, but
man, Nikki's a lucky woman. Sorry.
Hey man, she thinks it's manly as shit. I ain't gonna lie. When we first started dating, she was like, "Well, if you played hockey and you didn't have knocked out teeth, I'd kind of be disappointed that you'd probably be a really bad hockey player." So I was like, all right, good point. So. Our story begins with insert generic 90s extreme BMX trope character inserted here, Ashaka. During a bike ride out in the canyon lands of southern Utah, Ashaka sees what appears to be a UFO flying overhead that eventually crashes. She goes to investigate where her brake lines have been cut. Where's the e-brake on a bike? Anyway, she falls into a pit of blue light. We cut to the reason you buy the book, Spider-Man, who is dealing with a boring night of Spider-Man-ly activities, carrying a bag of groceries and stopping an assault, but not without being stabbed by the ultimate weapon, a banana, feared by every warrior. Ashaka, meanwhile, is currently in a catatonic state. But lucky for her, she is given a mental theater showing of Marvel Team Up 69 and 70, written by Chris Claremont and drawn by John Byrne. Sadly, they forgot to mention Havoc was in that story, and he did jack shit. Ashaka is able to break out of her state and goes to the museum with her father to see the Egyptian exposition. It just so happens that the title character of this book just happens to be there with on an assignment for the Bugle with his retconned wife Venom, not drawn by Carlos Gomez. Ashaka wanders off and discovers she can read hieroglyphics, the most pointless power I've ever seen, and is drawn to the staff of Horus. Peter, who should know better by now, begins to shit-talk gods themselves and is surprised when all of a sudden weird shit happens, like glowing falcon statues, causing a pillar to almost fall on Venom. Peter quickly changed into not Mike Wieringo Spider-Man, but kind of Mike Wieringo Spider-Man if you squint a little, and finds Ashaka and her father as she transforms into a Final Fantasy villain. I mean, the living Pharaoh. A fight breaks out after her father tries to talk her down. Scared Man also thinks back on Marvel Team Up 70 from 1978 and how him and Thor beat living Pharaoh before. Peter decides that he has to cut her off from the cosmic rays that constantly hit the planet by channeling his inner PS1 Spider-Man and locking her into a vault. Unfortunately, this doesn't plan out as well as that game. When this fails, Peter is left knocked on his ass with the living Pharaoh standing over him. To be continued.
With like the most suggestive like outfit in the history of like
That's what I said.
There's
man.
literally a page of her clothes being blasted off.
This is like very horny. Like it's an extremely horny book.
Yeah. I will say Rich Case does draw horny females very often.
Yeah, well, you know. So we want to just jump into the next recap because it's just one story.
Yeah. There's really no reason
There's
no reason to really analyze it. We can do them both together.
Yeah. All right. So we pick. So what? This issue number 20 was released on August 6th, 1997. Cover date of October. We have whoever possesses the staff of Horus can destroy the world, and in the costume that is not what she wears at the very beginning, because yeah. So we open right back where we left off with the at the exhibit. Peter then just decides to throw some dust in her eye before she starts walking around. She then eventually shoves Peter out the door, and just as she's about to stab Peter in the chest with the staff, Mary Jane yells, "You're gonna be late for school!" This causes the living Pharaoh to kind of snap out of it. So she then teleports to a different thing. Everybody's staring at her, and she's like, oh gods, no wonder people are giving me the eye of Horus. I look ridiculous. Then change it. So then she goes to a department store, uses her powers of sexiness and persuasion to be able to buy some new clothes. We then have 3 panels of her changing into this new outfit, so we get to see her in different.
It was necessary, Zach. Don't question it.
We had to see this young college girl change her clothes.
Yeah. So then, as the person that was helping her is like, "Excuse me, miss, but you must pay for that." She's like, "I'm going to kill you, slave." So she then just walks around with her staff. We see some Peter and MJ alone time. Peter is in his costume. MJ is in her negligee. Just as things are about to get steamy, they click it off, and yeah, they definitely had sex. So we then cut to our not heroine dancing her life away at the club before a giant floating head of very much guilt sits there and says, "You got to start." Becomes a DJ, and she's like, "We're fucking."
It's fucking rapping, by the way.
It is the single goofiest. I had forgotten all about that, and when I read that, I was like, "No fucking way, man! Who approved this?"
So we have King Tut, DJ King Tut, sitting there, trying to drop some bars when she's, and then we get a change in the artist. So we're back in the Daily Bugle. Peter then sees the person. All of a sudden, she's like, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to hit you with the staff. And Peter's like, holy crap. And then we cut back to a different change of artist. Back to Richard Case. And here's the thing about her outfit. It's not that it's like bad, but for whatever reason, she got the most see-through, I'm too sexy for my shirt, so that way you could see her bra.
Yeah, it's that 90s mesh that like punk rockers would wear.
Yeah, that's okay. Definitely not my style. So then Peter then fights her, and then he realizes that she's getting all her power from the glowy stick, so he breaks the glowy stick in half. And then she's sitting there fighting, and then she develops wings and flies.
Hey, puberty affects us all in different ways.
So she grows wings, and her dad's there, and he's like, "It's so beautiful."
I'm sorry, but
Dude, the fact that he says she's so beautiful, she hasn't been in ages, is just like the craziest roast of all time.
I was gonna say happy. She hasn't been in ages.
it's like a single tear rolls down his face.
And like as a girl dad, this kind of hits me a little different, right? It's like he's finally
ever
seeing
happened to you?
his daughter growing up for the first time. Listen, my daughter. No.
Your daughter didn't sprout wings and
No, but
do
she's
this?
undergoing hormonal changes. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, gotcha.
I get it. It's supposed to be a metaphor about kids growing their wings and spreading out from their family. This is brilliant. 10 out of 10.
Next issue. Ringo's back, and he's bringing some unexpected guests with him. Be here in 30 for opening doors. Enough said.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, so that's the end of this two-part arc where, we had Ringo, drawing some monsters, and so he gets a month off.
Yeah, this is a story that exists.
It is a story of all time.
Well, not necessarily like bad. I just simply do not care. And it's kind of the same with the next one too, which is sad because I talk such a high game of Sensational, and I'm like, oh, I love Todd, I love Mike, I love Richard, and then I'm like, this is boring, this is mid, this is fine.
I think when
it's
you
okay.
say that, I think when you say that, you think of like the later end of the book and the beginning of the book.
Well, and like
the middle,
and like
middle
the Prowler
between...
story, like we know that I really love the Prowler story. So like there's that, and then there's like this little whatever, like 5-6 issues, and then there's here's like some of the greatest things I've ever read once we get to the Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
Like Spider Hunt to Identity Crisis to the end. Like it's great work. It's great stuff, especially like issue 31, that final issue that Ringo does where Spidey faces the Rhino is like such a good issue. Like I cannot wait to like cover that stuff.
I really unironically love the 2-part Black Cat story.
that's a good story.
Tom Lyle.
I like that.
Yeah, that was Tom Lyle, and who else was it? It was another.
I don't remember. Tom does like 2 pages in that one issue.
Yeah, Roberto Flores and then Javier Saltres. Yeah, so we had 2 different. But again, it's a book that to me, this is okay. There are worse storylines that have been written. But this is abnormally, like reading this as an adult as opposed to being 10 years old when this was out, because this is just before. Well, I hadn't quite turned 10, so I'm 9 years old when this comes out. Because the following year in '98 is when SpideyDude.com is established. So I didn't realize how horny this book was until reading it again as an adult, and I'm like, holy shit, this thing is horny. Like, really horny. It's okay. If I was to give this a grade, it's a 6.5 for me, probably. And it's not because it's got like bad artwork. I think the artwork's good. It just, I do not give a flying fuck about the Living Pharaoh.
Yeah. You think
The
I've
Marvel-
read? You think I've read those Marvel team up issues? I sure as fuck have not.
The Marvel team-up books are actually pretty solid. I like those 2 issues, but
I'm sure they are, but John Byrne, I'm good.
It's one of those things I haven't quite got there yet in my reading of
Where are you at?
team up. Oh man, I have to look because like
there are too many fucking comic books. You can't expect people to read everything.
So
Yeah, I do.
So
I expect it.
So here's what happened.
You have too high of standards.
So
You think John Semper Jr. read them?
Probably.
John Semper Jr. wrote them. What are you talking about, man?
It wasn't
John
Caius and Chris Claremont and
Fuck Chris Claremont. We got John.
yeah,
Man,
we got Semper. But anyway,
Semper. Go ahead.
So here's what happened. So I started reading ASM from the beginning, and then I got like 10 issues in, and then my buddy Paul was like, "Well, did you read it from Amazing Fantasy 15? And did you read the Amazing Fantasy 15 issues? And did you read the Amazing? Did you read Untold Tales of Spider-Man?" So then I had to stop what I was doing and then reread all that stuff. Be like, "Yeah, you're right. You know, it's all canon. So okay." I was like, the reason I didn't read Amazing Fantasy 15 to start with this whole journey is because I've read it 10,000 freaking times. I can practically quote it in my sleep.
Did you read 16, 17, 18?
I did.
Good.
The one that Kurt Busiek wrote? Yeah. I read all those. I read Untold Tales. And then I got to Spectacular and started reading Spectacular. And then I kind of forgot about Team Up, and then I had to go back. And I was probably... Gosh, I was getting close to the end of the run on Team Up, and I was like, okay, I need to go back. And so I think I'm at issue 50, maybe 50 or 51. I'd have to look at once. The problem is it's not all unlimited, and so it's kind of like I have to go back and use that very legal website out there that you can use to read
like the ugliest scans of all time.
Exactly. With like scans from I don't know 2001
and millions of pop-ups.
Yeah, and your pop-up blocker better be working.
You can have sex in this game.
God, there's so talk about horny. That fucking website is so horny that it almost makes me want to be asexual. I mean, honestly, to be frank. I mean,
click this game to get blown. But yeah, this book is quite horny, and it's fine. And I think it's we've said it before, but Sensational is allowed to be the just fuck it book. Like, we have so much not deep lore going on in Peter Parker, but in most of the books we've got some pretty serious subject matter. And not to say that Sensational doesn't focus on serious subject matter, because it does, and later on will continue to do so, but it's allowed to be the weird one. And I think that's the charm of it. Even if it's not our thing, that's just the book. It can be the outlier. It can be the one where they go to the Savage Land, Matt's favorite story of all time.
It's the worst thing in my life.
And it can be the one where the Living Pharaoh comes back. It can be the one where...
Okay, I got to defend that particular story for a second.
Zach, if you defend that story, I'm taking you out of the damn will. So watch where you step.
Okay, here's the thing. The environmentalist bullshit is that. It's environmentalist bullshit propaganda. However, I loved seeing Zabu and Shanna and...
You don't understand.
Azar.
Zach has a giant tattoo of the chicken cow on his back.
As a kid, I liked it. As an adult, it is prison ass. Okay, that element
might go to Tylock.
And seeing the whole... Because, here's my thing. Getting Ringo drawing all those characters, I want to get those Marvel Legends just because of that storyline. Not because I care about Kazar or anything like that. I do remember the Kazar Stan Lee story from the initial run. But, give me Shanna and Kazar and Zabu. Don't make me have to go to San Diego Comic-Con to get Shanna the She-Devil. But, yeah.
I don't care. It's all boring to me. Anytime they do Savage Land, I'm like, just get it out of my face, man.
I mean, it's dinosaurs, man. And then you have a half man, half dinosaur in
I'm
the
the
greatest
biggest-
character that's ever been created in the history of mankind, in Stegron. I mean, hail his mighty tail.
I'm the biggest Godzilla fan you'll ever meet. Fuck Stegron.
I hate Stegron.
Guys, I have 3 syllables for you. Che, Ken,
It's not-
Cow.
First of all, it's not the Clone Saga, so it's bad. So
Yeah, okay, fuck everything that's not the Clone Saga, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I actually only like the Clone Saga.
I mean,
Anyway, this book's the story's like a 5, like a 5.5 to 6. Like I'm team 6 on this one. I'm mostly disinterested, but it's okay.
I'm giving it a 5. It's down the middle, and there are some moments in the book where I'm like,
But it's sexy.
like when she's stripping down, or the DJ scene. The DJ scene's real. What the fuck? We are in the
This scene
90s.
is like a fever dream.
It is.
The DJ scene. Okay, I didn't get it when I was a kid because like I was very sheltered.
He's being racist.
But but reading it as an adult, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, oh, I forgot about this. Like, why is King Tut being a DJ?
it's
Because they thought it would be funny.
it's the
Because
90s,
I thought it would be
man.
cool. This was trying so hard to be fucking cool, and
Mhm.
it really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that does it, doesn't it?
Do you guys want to know a weird fact I learned the other day by seeing 28 weeks later that ties into this, or 28 years later? You know, Jimmy Savile created the fucking double turntable. I didn't know that.
Today we learned.
You know?
Fun facts.
Yeah.
I thought John Semper.
John Semper Jr. is my father.
I had to get one more in there.
Oh God.
The dude breastfed me.
Whoa. That's what? Why?
Yeah, he was my father and my mother.
No.
Hey man, this is my show. I can do what I want. If I want to make it canon, I will make it canon.
Why? No. What, of all the things to make canon, why is it that it's got to be Semper breastfeeding? What the fuck? Like, there's so much other shit you can make canon, but no.
Buddy, I'm already rich. What else do I need? What more can you do?
I need a loan, by the way, that I may or may not ever pay back. But like, just a couple $100 would be nice. I'm just kidding.
Well, have you ever wanted to read have you ever wanted to read Spectacular Spider-Man 246 or Peter Parker Spider-Man 81, and you don't find it on that pesky app Marvel Unlimited because Marvel is evil?
No, have a good night.
I've got this great thing for you if you want to read it. It's called Project Rescan. If you have a CBR reader, or I have a JPEG version if you really want to. That's a huge pain in the ass. Please don't make me send you that. I rescanned all the missing books from this era for the main books, and that is part of it. So if you ever want to read it, in the link in my bio, you can hit me up. Got you. So, but Sensational you can read on Marvel Unlimited because they publish that way.
Listen, the crowd's going wild for Project Rescan.
That was a crowd that sounded like the pits of hell. Oh my god! I heard my mother.
It was supposed to be applause line.
It sounded like applause to me.
and I swear to God, in my headphones, it sounded just like things going.
Oh, that one sounds spooky.
The crickets, yeah, that's what I felt like was happening. But really, in reality, it's.
Plug yourselves so we can end this.
Okay, I'll let Matt go first, and then I guess I'll wrap it
up. You can find my house at no.
I'll leave the address really quick.
Yeah, you can dox my address. I mean, I don't really do anything. I'm kind of leaving Twitter. I've kind of decided today. But I do have an Instagram. I believe my Instagram is FlyersGuy67. I know it's different from disgruntled Philly sports fan because I don't know how disgruntled I can be after I won a Super Bowl. Me myself, not Jalen Hurts. But yeah, I have nothing. I'm still planning on posting bits and bobs for my collection. I actually went to a toy con the other day and I bought a. Don't ask me why. I bought a play mat, a Spider-Man play mat from '71 with a bunch of Gil Kane artwork. The thing is yellow as fuck, and not like yellow stain. It's that '70s yellow that they made everything back in the day. It's still in the plastic wrap. The guy at the con was like, "You want that? I have like 20 of them," and he really did. And he was trying to sell me more than one for like a deal, and I was like, dude, I just want the one. I don't even need this. I just have a compulsion. But I might start planning on posting weird shit like that, like all my knickknacks that I buy. Anytime I see 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever merch, I buy it. So, yeah, that's it. Zach?
Oh, guys.
All right.
Zach's
Sit
got
back
a
for a second.
mouthful.
Do what?
I said, buckle up. Zach's got a mouthful.
So you can find me over at spidey-dude.com, or you can find me on the Spidey Dude Radio Network. You can follow me on the social medias at Spidey Dude Radio or at Spidey Dude Network on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, TikTok. And yeah, you can also find us our Patreon at patreon.com/Spidey Dude Network. I am the host of the Clone Saga Chronicles podcast, the precursor to this show, as this show is the spiritual successor to that particular show. You also got Spectacular Radio, the show all about Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series. You have Voices from the Eerie, which is not my show, which is the spiritual successor to Spectacular Radio, which is a sequel/prequel because it deals with gargoyles. You also got the Sal Buscema era podcast, not hosted by me on the Spidey Radio Network, which covers Sal's seminal run on Spectacular Spider-Man, going from the 80s all the way up until shortly before the Clone Saga. That show is actually about to wrap up and complete its run. Then you have Amazing Spider-Man Classics, which is Spider-Man from the beginning. You've got Make Mine Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world, and the Spidey Dude Experience, where I cover everything Spider-Man related, from news and toys and movie news and all the fun stuff to the modern Spider-Man comics, like Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, and in my opinion, the best book on the stands right now that's Spider-Man related, Ultimate Spider-Man. So if you want to check all that out, you can find it over at Spidey Dude Radio Network on YouTube. YouTube.com/@Spidey Dude Radio Network.
Nice.
And you can find Zach's home at...
His social security number is...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
But yeah, thank you to everybody for listening today. Thank you for you two for joining me today. This was a really, really fun episode, and I hope we get to do another one like this soon. So happy to have you all, and I'm really pleased overall.
It is an honor and a privilege to be here.
All right, well, we will catch you next time when we cover more stuff, because I can't remember exactly what it'll be right now, but it'll be something. That's for sure.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it's the return of Doc Ock is next.
Yes, it is the Doc Ock issues.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, the end of the Steve Scaros era.
Yeah.
When are we getting to quality of life?
We don't have to, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Well, catch you next time where I put a gun in my mouth and decide whether or not to pull the trigger.
And I watch him and try to coax him on.
Have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.